Bienvenidos! Today we're going to talk about the past perfect tense in Spanish. The past perfect tense is used to talk about actions that occurred in the past before another event. And in English, we use the past perfect when we say, I had slept before I left for the trip, or I had boarded the plane before I read the book. So it's things that happened in the past, but that happened before another event. Now, in English, we would say something like, we had eaten before class. And in Spanish, we're going to use two words to form the past perfect, just like we do in English. In English, we say, had eaten. Now, we've already learned that in Spanish, words like eaten are the past participle. And we know how to form those past participles if we've learned how to use past participles as adjectives. So the past participle of eaten will be used to help form this past perfect tense in Spanish. Now, for the had in Spanish, we use haber. Okay? Haber is the form that we're going to or the verb that we're going to conjugate to the different forms depending on the subject. So we're going to use the we form of haber in the imperfect tense to form the past perfect. So the haber endings that we're going to be using are the imperfect. Yo would be ella, tú, ellas, él, ella, usted, ella, nosotros or nosotras, íamos, ellos, ellas, ustedes, ian. Notice that all of these have an accent mark on the I. So for haber here we have we, so it's going to be the nosotros form. The ending will be íamos, so it would be habíamos. And then we'll use the past participle of eaten. So in Spanish, we had eaten before class is going to be habíamos comido antes de clase. Habíamos comido antes de clase. Now, in the past perfect, when we use these past participles, we do not use them exactly the same as adjectives. When we use adjectives, we know that adjectives have to agree in gender and number with the noun that they're modifying. But the past participle used to form the past perfect stays just masculine singular. It does not change to agree with anything. So it's always going to be comido when we're using it as the past perfect, no matter what the subject is or who's being talked about. Now, we talked about the past perfect being used to describe an action that occurred in the past before another event. And in English, sometimes we use the word already to talk about things that have happened in the past before another event. So we might say in a conversation, had you already rested? Maybe we're talking about somebody who was getting ready to run a race, and you're asking, had they already rested before they ran the race? So the word already can indicate the need for the present or the past perfect tense. But the thing is in English, that word already can come between the had and then the past participle. See, there's had, and there's your past participle. And in Spanish, we can use the word ya to mean already, but ya has to come before both of those verbs. It can't come between them. So in Spanish, we have to say ya, and then the past perfect tense of the verbs. Habías descansado. Ya habías descansado. So in Spanish, haber and the past participle always stay together. The ya would come before. Now another example. In 1999, the author had already written the third book. En 1999, el autor ya había escrito el tercer libro. Again, notice that the ya comes before the verbs. And notice that all of these past participles end in the singular o. Another example. Why hadn't they washed their hands before lunch? Porque no se habían lavado las manos antes del almuerzo. Okay. Notice that the reflexive verb, lavarse, the pronoun that goes with that comes before the two verbs. So we have the past perfect, and then we have the reflexive pronoun coming before them. Okay. Before leaving, I had given them to Maite, and let's say we're talking about my car keys. So we're going to look at where some of these direct object and indirect object pronouns go. Before leaving, I had given them to Maite. Antes de salir, yo se las había dado las llaves a Maite. So in Spanish, we know that the indirect and direct object pronouns can come before the verbs. And again, they come before both of these present perfect pieces of the verb. Había dado. And then you have your pronouns right here. And then optionally, in Spanish, we could say the keys to Maite, las llaves a Maite.